1,177 men died in less than 10 minutes. The USS Arizona took a bomb to her forward magazine. The explosion lifted the 60,000-ton battleship out of the water. Then she sank into the mud of Pearl Harbor. That was December 7th, 1941, 84 years ago. And she is still bleeding. Every day, 2 to 9 quarts of heavy fuel oil bubble up from the wreck. They rise through fractured tanks and corroded seams. They spread across the surface in a rainbow sheen. Tourists watch from the memorial above. Survivors called them the Black Tears of Arizona. The ship holds an estimated 500,000 gallons of oil. At the current leak rate, she will keep crying for another 500 years. What I want to know is why we have never stopped it, and why we may never try. The USS Arizona was a Pennsylvania-class battleship, commissioned in 1916, modernized throughout the 1930s with new armor, new guns, new engines. By 1941, she was one of the most powerful warships in the Pacific. On the morning of December 7th, Arizona was moored at Battleship Row, adjacent to Ford Island. Her crew of about 1,500 men was preparing for the week ahead. Some were on liberty. Some were eating breakfast. Some were still in their bunks. At 7:55, the first Japanese aircraft appeared. Arizona took several bomb hits. Most caused minimal damage. But at 8:06, a 1,760-pound armor-piercing shell, converted into a bomb, penetrated her forward deck. It detonated inside the black powder magazine used to launch aircraft catapults. That explosion triggered the main magazine. The blast was catastrophic. It destroyed the forward third of the ship, collapsed the smokestack, and sent a fireball 300 feet into the air. The ship sank in 9 minutes. The hull settled into the mud. The superstructure remained above water, but 1,177 men were dead. Over 900 of them are still inside. Their remains sealed in the hull, never recovered, never removed. Subscribe to Beyond Fleets. We don't sell headlines. We go beyond them. Type Arizona in comments if you believe the Black Tears are a memorial worth protecting. Here is the part nobody talks about. Arizona was fully fueled on December 7th. She had just returned from training exercises. Her tanks held approximately 1.5 million gallons of heavy fuel oil, thick, viscous bunker fuel designed to burn hot and last long. The explosion and fire consumed much of it, but hundreds of thousands of gallons remained trapped inside the wreck. The ship sits in 40 feet of water. Her hull is breached in dozens of places. But the oil is trapped in tanks that collapsed in a way that created natural barriers. Seawater cannot flush them out. Microbes cannot digest the oil fast enough. The pressure inside the wreck is slightly higher than outside, so the oil leaks slowly, drip by drip, day by day. Scientists from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution studied the chemistry. They found that the oil is still rich in polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, toxic compounds that do not break down easily. But here is the strange part. The leak is so slow that Pearl Harbor's ecosystem has adapted. Microbes around the wreck have evolved to eat small amounts. The rainbow sheen dissipates within hours. The environmental damage is localized, barely measurable. So the question is not can we stop it? The question is, should we? I double-checked this. The Navy and the National Park Service have considered pumping out the remaining oil. Multiple studies, multiple proposals. The conclusion is always the same. The risk is too high. To remove the oil, engineers would have to cut into the hull. That would disturb the remains of over 900 sailors. The ship is an official war grave. Disturbing it is a federal crime. Beyond the law, there is the moral weight. You do not drill into a tomb. There is also the practical problem. The oil is not in one clean tank. It is scattered across dozens of compartments, many of them crushed and inaccessible. A pumping operation would cost an estimated $200 million. It would take years, and it might trigger a larger spill than the one they are trying to prevent. Run the math. The oil left in Arizona is worth about $150,000 as fuel. The cost to remove it could be $200 million. That ratio is 1,300 to 1. But the real cost is not money. The real cost is the remains, 900 men. No price tag. Here is the detail that is genuinely hard to get your head around. The leak was worse in the 1950s and 60s. Visitors reported thick slicks. The Navy tried to stop it by patching holes with concrete and epoxy. It did not work. Today the leak is slower. Some experts believe the oil is finally running out. Others say the rate is steady and will continue for centuries. No one knows for certain because no one has fully mapped the interior of the wreck. That would require entering the ship, and entering the ship is forbidden. I have to be honest. The black tears are not just pollution. They have become part of the memorial. 2 million people visit the USS Arizona Memorial every year. They stand on the white structure above the wreck. They look down through the openings. They see the oil. They watch it rise. Park rangers tell them it is the ship crying. It is not a scientific explanation, but it is an emotional one. And it works. Lauren Bruner was a crew member on Arizona. He was one of the last survivors. He escaped by climbing across a line from the burning ship to another vessel. He suffered burns over most of his body. He lived until 2019. Before he died, he said this about the oil. Every time I see those black tears, I remember the men I left behind. They are still there. They are still asking why we did not come back for them. The Navy did come back. They recovered some bodies in the weeks after the attack. But the majority remain. The ship is their grave, and the oil is their voice. So why does this matter in 2026? Because there are thousands of shipwrecks from World War II that still contain oil. The USS Arizona is not unique. The German battleship Bismarck, the Japanese carrier Kaga, the American tankers sunk off the East Coast by U-boats. All of them are corroding. All of them are leaking. The difference is that Arizona is a memorial. The others are not. The Navy has a program called the Risk Assessment for potentially polluting wrecks. They have identified over 100 shipwrecks in U.S. waters that could cause significant oil spills. Most are deeper than Arizona. Most are harder to reach. Most contain more oil. The Navy has no plan to drain them. The cost is too high. The risk is too high. The legal status of war graves is too complicated. China and Russia use Arizona as an example of American sentimentality. They argue that the U.S. prioritizes emotion over environmental protection. They point out that the oil leak is real pollution. They ask why the U.S. allows a war grave to poison the ocean. The answer is uncomfortable, because the U.S. made a choice. Respect for the dead matters more than a few quarts of oil per day. The Arizona will continue to leak. For the rest of your life. For your children's lives. For your grandchildren's lives. 500 years. That is not an estimate. That is a promise. So, USS Arizona, 1,177 dead, 900 still inside, 500,000 gallons of oil trapped beneath 40 feet of water, 2 quarts per day, a rainbow sheen every morning, 2 million visitors every year. The Navy calls it a war grave. The Park Service calls it a memorial. The scientists call it a slow-motion spill. The survivors called it their second home. And the oil keeps rising. Black tears. Every single day. For 84 years. For 500 more. Nobody is coming to stop it. Because some graves are meant to be left alone. If this breakdown changed how you see the USS Arizona, subscribe to Beyond Fleets. We don't sell headlines. We go beyond them. Type Arizona in comments if you believe the black tears are a memorial worth preserving.